What's up, guys? George back again to do a year-end 2017 year in review, I guess, in music, hard rock, metal, that kind of stuff. I have a list of stuff. I didn't pull any album covers out or anything like that, but I figured I'd just mention my favorite records of 2017 this year. If I can add in the covers later, over here or over here, I will. You'll see them. If not, sorry, but I'm not that sophisticated. Uh, anyway, I'm going to jump right into it. Some of my favorite records this year were absolutely amazing albums. I thought some were better when I first heard them, and then, kind of just let them. I haven't listened to them in a while, but I think the early part of the year, like the new Overkill record, The Grinding Wheel, I thought that was a really good album. Some fun stuff on that record. They always seem to put out quality material. Ever since, it really started with 97's From the Underground and Below. That's one of my favorite Overkill records. But Grinding Wheel, I thought had some fantastic stuff on it. So I would imagine 2018 we'll probably see another Overkill record. Seems like they crank them out every year and a half. So next up was The Wild, a band from England and the album was called Wild at Heart. Didn't really receive much acclaim here in the States. However, they had pretty nice following in England. I really dug the record. If you like, classic 70s hard rock style stuff, I just thought it was a decent record. It is one of those records, though, when you hear it enough, you kind of don't go back to it for a while, and I haven't probably for the last 6 months, but I thought that was a really good record. Next up, Striker, self-titled, new wave of traditional heavy metal. I thought that was a really good self-titled record. It's the white album cover. I really liked that record a lot. I thought that was good. Some cool stuff on there. Again, another one of those records that I listened to early in the year and haven't really revisited it lately. So, next up, Broken Teeth, Four on the Floor. Thought that was a fantastic record if you like ACD, a 70s style ACDC, with a touch of, I guess, a bit of Motorhead on there. It was their first album for the EMP label group. And I thought it was fantastic. That came out on CD and vinyl. Really killer record. It kind of came out of nowhere. I still pop it in all the time, but I thought it was a really good record. Features Jason McMasters from Dangerous Toys on vocals, in case you hadn't known that. But next up, CJ Ramones, American Beauty. I thought that was a fantastic record. Again, haven't listened to that one in a little while, but I have. I did enjoy that record a lot. I listened to it quite a bit. Keeping the Ramones spirit alive. I thought, why not? It's killer. It's his third studio album. I liked it more than the second album. So it's definitely a winner. I thought that was a great record. Next up, Junkyard, High Water. The return of Junkyard after 20 some years. That was one of the records that I thought was fantastic when it first came out, but I haven't revisited that record in quite a while. I would say 3/4 of that record is amazing, and the other quarter is just okay. Nothing bad on there, but I thought that was a really pretty good record. It was a solid, comeback album, so hopefully they'll be doing some more stuff down the road. Next up, Nitro Gods. Roadkill Barbecue kind of keeps the spirit of Motorhead alive with that band. I think it's their third full-length studio album. 3-piece. I think they're from Germany. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they're from Germany. That's on SPV. Really fantastic record. Very Motorhead-esque. One of my favorites this year. Next up, Cheap Trick, We're All Alright. The latest studio album from Cheap Trick I thought was fantastic. I think it's their best studio album of the last probably 15 years. Really good mix of 70s power pop and just straight up rock and roll. I thought that was a fantastic record. Definitely a killer. Uh, Definitely an amazing Cheap Trick record. I liked their last album. I did like their last album, which was called. I'm drawing a blank on it. Damn, I forget the name of it, but it was out like a year ago, or a year before this record came out. But I think We're All Alright was a better album. It was a lot of fun, a really fun record. Next up, the Biters. Uh, I thought the first Biters record, Electric Blood, was a little better than this one. But however, I do like this one. It's called The Future's Not What It Used to Be, or something like that. Um, Always been a big fan of the Biters since they first started. I have all their EPs and stuff from back, 10, I guess 8 years ago now. So, but I did like that record. However, I do like the Electric Blood album a little bit better. Uh, Next is The Darkness, Pinewood Smile. I thought that was a fantastic record, kind of a return to form. Um, Kind of a mix of the first album and I would say the last album. I'm a big fan of the first album. I love the one after that, which was One Way Ticket. I thought was a good, decent record. Not as good as the first album, but I thought there was some amazing stuff on that one. Hot Cakes, I really loved that record a lot. So, and the last one was the one with Barbarian. I thought was really good, but I really liked this record. Maybe not quite as much as Hot Cakes or the last album, but I thought it was a fantastic record and one, kind of. If you like The Darkness, I'm sure you'll like that record. Next up, LA Guns, The Missing Piece. I thought that was a decent record, especially with Tracy and Phil being back together again. I did like the first 3/4 of the album, and then the rest of it was just kind of a little more laid back than I wanted for that album. But I thought it was pretty decent. I'm looking forward to see what they actually do for a next album, if they go a heavier route. I think they work better as a heavier band, especially with Tracy's playing. Um, he had some amazing solos on this record. I thought it was a really good record. I just didn't like the tail end of it too much. The Nobodies, Hussy, power pop punk, I should say, pop punk band that I've always been a big fan of because they have a little bit more of an edge than your normal your pop punk. I like their old shit a lot. I thought their stuff from back in the day in the 90s was really killer. I really dig Hussy. I thought that was a great record. And it was their first album in a long time. I would say like 12 years or 8 or 12 years, something like that. But I thought it was good. I think it's a really good record. I know not a lot of people know who they are, but you should definitely check them out. Next up, Dynamite with Big Bang. A Swedish band, I believe, very 70s AC/DC style. This is their third or fourth album, I think. This one came out in the fall. I thought it was a really good record. I know sometimes the dude's vocals gets on people's nerves a little bit, but I think it works for this record. This was the first one, I believe, produced by Nicky Alexander. Did he do this one? I can't remember who produced this now. It's so fucking hard to see this. No, Martin Sendenberg. That's right. Or Markin. He produced this one. But that's what it looks like, just in case. But all these I have reviews of on my page, individual reviews on my YouTube channel. So next up, Backstreet Girls. Don't what were they called? Don't mess with something. I can't remember. Damn, I didn't write the whole title down for some reason. But anyway, Backstreet Girls, killer boogie band from late '80s, really. Have been doing it ever since, nonstop for the most part. They put out quality records. I really like that one. I forget the name, the full title of it. I knew I was going to forget it. I don't remember, but if you like AC/DC, Rose Tattoo, definitely check those guys out. Next up, V8 Wankers, Harden to Fuck Up. It's their latest studio album. I love these guys. Kind of reminds me of a Nashville Pussy, Super Suckers, but like a greasier rock band. Really killer album. It finally came out in the United States. I just cleaned up all the CDs and stuff here, so I'm not sure if that's filed away now or not. I should have just pulled them all, but I didn't. So, but definitely check out Harden to Fuck Up. And again, I have a individual review on my channel. Next up was Mothership, High Strangeness, really killer 70-esque sludgy kind of metal band. It's their third full-length album, studio album. They also have a live record. If you like Sabbathy, sludgy 70s hard rock metal, you'll definitely dig that. With an amazing cover. This one I still have down here. There's that one. Really killer. Next up is the brand new Crank County Daredevils EP. I normally don't do EPs, but, you know, I love that record. I love those guys. North Carolina, sleazy, hard rock, barroom rock, really killer. Warner Hodges, Right Back at You, I think was the name of it. His latest studio album. I think it was Right Back at You. Jesus, I can't believe I didn't write all these down. For some reason, I didn't write it down. I don't know why. I just put Right Back. But his Jason and the Scorchers, lead guitar player, amazing songwriter, killer riffs. Has a lot of Angus Young in his playing. Not too, not a bad singer either. I thought he was really good on that record. I think it's a really good record. If you like Jason and the Scorchers and AC/DC, definitely check that out. Next up, The Professionals, What in the World? First album in 20 some years, probably 30, almost 30 years. Features Tom Spencer from the Yo-Yos, and obviously Paul Cook from Sex Pistols, and Steve Jones plays on some of it. A lot of guests on that record, but really killer punk album. It's an amazing record. It really surprised me how good it is. I mean, anything Tom Spencer touches is gold to me. He's like, he's an amazing songwriter. He has some really killer songs, especially with his other bands, like the Yo-Yos, that first Yo-Yos record, Uppers and Downers. After the Yo-Yos, he had, which I can never remember the name of that fucking band that he had after the Yo-Yos. I'm not even going to try to remember, but definitely Google search Tom Spencer Yo-Yo, see what comes up. The new Professionals record is an amazing album. I thought it was really good. Next up, Ginger Wildhearts, Ghosts in the Tanglewood, or Ghost in the Tanglewood. His latest studio LP, very Americana sounded with some country overtones. Thought it was a fantastic record. Definitely a new style of music for him, for his solo stuff. Thought it was a great record. Not so much my cup of tea for the most part. something that I listen to a lot, but really killer nonetheless. Really, like I said, Americana, kind of like Steve Earle, with a little Jason and the Scorchers and some country twang to it. Next up, CJ Wildheart's Blood album, fantastic fucking record. I think that's a great record. Very riff oriented and heavy. You could definitely tell that he is a big songwriter when it comes to the Wildheart stuff. As far as riffs go, I mean, Ginger's obviously the main guy, but when they're together, it's magic. And I'm hoping 2018 brings a new Wildhearts record, and I just have a feeling that it's going to happen. Other than that, I think that's about it for my 2017 top albums. There's a couple like reissues, like Dangerous Toys Pissed, I thought was amazing reissue of that. Master of Puppets from Metallica. We also got the Rolling Stones on air, all the BBC session stuff that just came out. I was going to make it a part of the 2017 review, year in review, but I'll probably do an individual review of that this week sometime. But I didn't want to include it since it's so brand new. But and also, you know, unfortunately, we lost a lot of people this year in music. A lot of people that were important to me, or that I really dug a lot. You know, like Butch Trucks. He passed away. He was 69. Chuck Berry died 90 years old. Jay Giles, you know, the guitarist. Chris Cornell, who I wasn't a huge fan of Soundgarden, but unfortunately he took his own life. Greg Allman passed away, which sucks. But his last studio album was fantastic. Chester Bennington, who I'm not a fan of Linkin Park, but you know, another one that took his own life in the same fashion that Chris Cornell did, which I don't know. I don't get why people do that, but whatever. Glenn Campbell died from dementia and Alzheimer's, which is a shame. He was 81. Walter Becker from Steely Dan, 67, passed away. Who else? Charles Bradley. That was a bad one. I love Charles Bradley. Especially after making it, you know, the last 4 years or so with studio work and touring and shit, and he gets, you know, he unfortunately dies from cancer. That sucked. That really sucked. I'm a big Charles Bradley fan. If you don't know who Charles Bradley is, late 60s R&B singer that just started putting records out the last couple of years. Definitely check him out. Tom Petty, 66. That sucked for me big time. I was a big Tom Petty fan. Fats Domino, he was 89. He was one of the originators of rock and roll, I think. You know, my personal belief, he was. Mel Tillis, who was I always liked more in movies than I did his music. I thought he was good in certain movies, comedy movies. Della Reese, who I thought she was cool. David Cassidy was 67, died of Alzheimer's and dementia. Wayne Cochran was 78. Dwight James Brown, pretty killer. Keely Smith, who I knew from when I was a kid. She did a lot of work with Louis Prima. If you're Italian, Louis Prima was pretty much a standard in your household. And finally, my number one on this list, who really hit me the most, was Malcolm Young from AC/DC, being my favorite band. 64 years old, way too young. Dementia got him after, I think, 5 or 6 year battle with dementia. Just a shame. So all those artists definitely, it sucks, but it's a lot. There's a lot, and it's gonna get, as the older we get, guys in my age, like in the 40s, we're gonna see this a lot more over the next 10, 15 years, uh, which sucks. But what are you gonna do? That's life, right? But yeah, Malcolm was a bad one. Tom Petty was a bad one. Charles Bradley, Fats Domino, Chuck Berry. They're, out of all these guys, those five are. And the Allman, Butch Trucks, and Greg Allman. But anyway, I hate to end on a sad note, but that was our year in review. My year for my top favorite records. I wanted to give a mention to the guys we lost this year that I personally listened to a lot or was a fan of. But anyway, hopefully 2018 will be a better year. Not that 2017 was a bad year for music. I thought it was I thought there was some decent stuff this year. But as far as deaths go, man, let's calm it down a little bit. Anyway, 2018 for this channel. More reviews, more LP updates, more movie reviews, all kinds of shit. I'm just going to try and keep it like I've been doing it. There won't be that many updates this week because of the holiday. There's just not a ton of new stuff. However, I will be doing a bunch of new bootleg AC/DC rebroadcasts from this year that I got in. So that'll follow. They'll start after this video. And that's about it. So anyway, hopefully everybody had a great holiday. Had a great Christmas, and New Year's is coming later this week. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what 2018 brings us all. Hopefully a new Wild Hearts record, maybe some news on AC/DC as to what they're going to do as far as giving it up or recording a record with either Brian Johnson, which it should be, or Axl Rose, which you got to get Brian to do it. My ultimate AC/DC lineup at this point, with Cliff retiring, would be Angus, Brian, Stevie on rhythm, and then why not just get Mark Evans and Phil Rudd back for an album and tour? They can both do it. So we'll see. That's the only way to really keep it somewhat viable, I guess. I mean, if Angus goes out there with a new bass player and either Axl or some other singer, what's the point, really? And if Phil Rudd doesn't want Phil Rudd to do it, my vote's Simon Wright. I mean, I like Chris Slade. I just don't like him in AC/DC. I don't like the way he plays with AC/DC, especially live. But get Simon if you don't want to, you don't want Phil to do it. Maybe Simon would do it. That would be fucking awesome. I thought Simon was a great drummer for them. But anyway, that is it. Enough rambling for this video. I don't want to make it super long, but if you've subscribed over the last year, I can't thank you enough. 2017, I picked up a ton of new subscribers this year, which is awesome. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely click that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed, think about it. And I'll see you all real soon with some new reviews. Like I said, the new AC/DC bootleg reviews will be coming up on CD this week sometime. And that's it. Have a great new year. Peace.